Episode 13, Conscious Kink Q&A Zoom Call. Welcome to Lightworkers Who Play in the Dark, where we bring the darkness into the light. I'm your host, Mistress Damiana, and I have been a professional dominatrix for over 2 decades. I'm also a certified sexologist and a kink life coach. I hold a Ph.D. and a master's degree in psychology. I am the founder of the Evolutionary Dominatrix Academy and the creator of Conscious Kink Community. These podcast episodes will feature different themes like Q&As, where I answer kink-related questions from my listeners, topic interviews with people in the BDSM community, and femdom psychodrama scenes in which I dominate a submissive while you listen in, as we get into some dom space and subspace together. Now, let's get on with the episode. The following is the recording of one of the monthly Conscious Kink Q&A Zoom calls that I host for my Patreon community. I'm sharing it to this podcast to educate and raise awareness and understanding about conscious and ethical kink, BDSM, and femdom. If you would like to join these monthly calls to ask me questions directly, you're welcome to join as a Patreon member at patreon.com/damianachiphd. There were so many great questions on this call, like these. I'm curious to know how your experiences with female clients compare to those with male clients. Do you have any advice on effectively dominating female submissives compared to male submissives? Is the desire to be owned with absolute submission and obedience a kink of its own? Because for me, that is what drives me, but others seem driven by particular kinks alone. Recently, my mistress released me from our dynamic. It was my first lifestyle dynamic. I'm wondering how to work through the sadness of being released from a DS dynamic. How can a sub make a session more enjoyable for his mistress's desires? What are the cues she shows, whether it's corporal, humiliation, or bondage, or other? What, if any, is the correlation between female supremacy / beta males and mistress-slave relationships? Let's dive into the Q&A. I hope you will gain value from it. Enjoy. I am Mistress Damiana, and I've been a professional dominatrix for 26 years now. I've been a lifestyle dom for 30 plus years. I have a Ph.D. in clinical psychology, master's in counseling psychology, bachelor's in behavioral sciences, with an emphasis in psychology. So I have a lot of psychology in my background. I am a certified sexologist with a kink-centered focus. So I do counseling, but only kink-centered at this point. I am the author of The Dominatrix Archetypes, Become a Multi-Dimensional Dominatrix in the Art of BDSM Femdom, and the creator of Conscious Kink Community, which currently there's some glitching happening right now. I have to figure that out, so it's not currently online. I'm the host of Lightworkers Who Play in the Dark podcast. I am an advocate of safe, sane, consensual, and ethical BDSM. I talk about BDSM as a healing modality, which it is. So I'm trying to educate the mainstream public about BDSM, what it truly is, and how it's more than what you see in the movies and on porn and things like that. I'm also the founder and instructor of the Evolutionary Dominatrix Academy, which is where I mentor women worldwide on how to cultivate and develop the dom within themselves. And many of them are professional doms, many of them are lifestyle doms, and some of them are just doms. You know, they don't necessarily need to be doing anything with it, but it is such an empowering. I always say that being a dominatrix is the biggest self-love exercise I've ever found. So I think everyone should have dominatrix training, every woman. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and go to the first question here. So this is from Anonymous. She said, They say, "Hello, Mistress Damiana. I understand that the majority of your clientele is male. However, in interviews, you mentioned that you have had a limited number of female clients. I'm curious to know how your experiences with female clients compare to those with male clients. Also, do you have any advice on effectively dominating female submissive compared to male submissives?" Great question, Anonymous. So I have dominated a number of female clients and subs, and also in every workshop that I do in person, I occasionally run a in-person 3-day workshop called the Dominatrix Archetypes, and in there it's a small workshop where there's 6 women that come, and they're trained by me, and I work very closely with each one. That's why it's such a small group. And so in that, every single workshop, I dominate one of them. So it's not like I haven't done it. I've done it in like plenty of times over the years, so I can tell you what the differences are. So emotionally, it seems like females are just closer to their emotions than males are in general. And so when I am dominating them, they feel everything very intensely. And so it's a very common tendency for doms, female doms like me, to go softer with female subs, kind of have a softer version of domination or something like that. But I warn my mentees about that because they want to be dominated. They're here to be dominated by you, and so you really need to bring your authoritarian archetype like up strongly. I mean, and even get in there and go dark sometimes because they want it too. They want to be dominated. And then so what happens in my workshops is all of us, we're all females on the first night, and I have my students dominate each other. And the most common feedback that I get from the woman that's been dominated by her fellow student who was the dom is, "I wish you would have gone harder on me," or "I wish you would have dominated me even more." So yeah, so when I dominate my female clients, I'm very dominant. I'm very strict. I'm very it depends, of course, who it is and what they're looking for, and what type of dominatrix they want to be with. That's why there's all these different levels that you can play with the archetypes, because you can customize your domination style with whoever you're playing with. But I do go strict, if that is part of your question. I don't have to, but I at this point in my career, it's my dom persona is very well developed, and so it's not difficult for me to dominate female clients as strictly or as dominantly as I dominate male submissives. Also, physically, their bodies are softer, and their skin is softer, and so whenever I use like impact implements, flogging, or if I do paddling or anything like that, they do bruise much easier than male clients. So that's another difference. So, and then, when I do like a flogging, they get to the point of breaking much faster than males do, which means like they often start to cry during the flogging because I go as heavy as I think I should go on whoever I'm playing with, And so I find that my mother archetype comes out very strongly with female clients. Comes out strongly with males too, but in particular with females, they seem to need my mother archetype more, maybe. So I hope that answers your question, Anonymous. If you're here and you would like to elaborate on your question, or if you have any further questions about my response to your question, then you're welcome to unmute yourself. If you're not here, I'll go on to pussies. Oops, I just tapped it really quick. Yeah, anonymous probably isn't online. So pussy's question is the desire to be owned with absolute submission and obedience a kink of its own? Because for me, that is what drives me, and within that is my obedient acceptance of any other action mistress uses for me. But others seem to be driven by particular subkinks alone. Pussy, great question. Everybody's so different, but the I never thought about it as a kink to be the desire to be owned. But I would call it that because, we can call anything a kink. If that is your main fantasy, then I would call it a kink. It is a very, very common desire. Very, very common. And you seem to have this question a lot, which I'm glad because we can keep talking about it. I think many people probably have this feeling too. And let's see. Others seem to be driven by particular kinks. Like I said, everybody's different. So I would say, like, for example, Julia, who's here on the line, she's one of my sub coaches, academy sub coaches. She had a very strong desire to be owned by me before I took her as mine. But she also has other very strong kinks too. So if you want to speak on that, Pussy, why don't I bring you on too? Why don't I bring you on to first, Julia? Pussy. Is there anything you want to elaborate on with your question?
I think that explains it. Um, it's just that it's so strong, it seems different. But yeah, and I realize I've asked it a version of this question before, so I'm sorry about
Oh,
that. But
that's okay. No, it's okay. I want you to bring your questions. So, Julia, come online and speak about your personal feelings on this because I feel like you have other strong subkinks too.
I do, Mistress, and I think it's very much tied to uh, being submissive, like being deeply, deeply submissive. Like it's such a part of me that I think that kind of goes hand in hand with wanting someone to desire me so much that they want me as their property, as to be owned. And I think there's a great sense of security in that. Like the other kinks that I have are they are very emotional and physical, um, but I think they have more to do with um, probably more to do with activities than they do with um, being something. You know, being
Someone's.
being someone's possession.
Mm-hmm.
yes, I agree with that. The various kinks that I have are all ways to submit.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good way to put it, Pussy. Really good way to put it. But I think that Pussy, I think that you might feel like maybe because you've asked me this before, you're like, does anybody have that strong desire to be owned like I do? And the answer to that is yes. Absolutely
Okay,
yes. Like all of my slaves have, I would say, as strong of a desire as you've expressed. Mm-hmm.
well, that makes me feel better.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
unusual.
Not unusual at all. Not unusual. And also, I think that other subs who aren't owned have that longing as well, even if there isn't a particular mistress, a person, particular person that they are, like that they have that feeling towards. They just kind
Hmm.
of have that feeling of, I want to be owned someday. I hope to be owned someday. That feeling, that's very common. And then I do agree with Julia too that it does link with submission. It
Hmm.
links with the level of how submissive you are, I feel. Because somebody is that's more like on the maybe they have more bottom tendencies or something. They don't
Hmm.
have that feeling of wanting to be owned as much.
Hmm.
And then others who sort of like I have people who come in to play with me and they're very submissive in session, but they're more of like a client who they come in and have occasional experiences as a slave, but they don't have that ongoing feeling in between sessions of I want to be owned. So it's
Hmm.
there's so many different levels. Everybody's in so different. Yes, Robert, love to hear what you have to say.
I just wanted to add on to that question, if you don't mind, Mitchell.
Say again?
I don't want to add on to the question, if you don't mind, Mitchell.
You would like to add on to it? Of
Yeah.
course.
Uh, um, well, being owned, I do have the desire to be owned, but I haven't. But I wanted to ask Julia what her experience to be owned while you're still married to someone else. Now, me and
Yeah.
my wife have a monopoly relationship.
Yes,
You
definitely.
would let me play, but how do you work with being old while you're still married to your wife?
Yeah, it's a different, completely different issue. Julia is owned by me, is very much owned by me, and she has been married for what, over 30 years? Yeah.
Yeah, same here. No, me and my
Yeah.
wife been married 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't even, it's a completely separate issue.
Yeah.
Because
So,
you don't have that feeling of wanting to be owned by your wife because you don't have that dynamic with her.
right, right, yeah. So I've been wondering about that for the longest time.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
someday I may come across that bridge, but it was kind of thinking about how much time do you spend when you're old, you know?
How much time do you spend being owned?
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, when I think about being old, and it's like, you need to drop whatever you're doing to do whatever they ask you to
No.
do.
It's
But,
it's you know what? It's a different it's kind of like a customized thing, slave by slave. Because Julie is married, she has an obligation to her wife, and she needs to be with her wife, like a lot of part of her life. But when I call out to her and I say I need you to do this thing for me, she will try her best, her very best to do whatever she can for me. But if she can't, she can't. So, but it's still an ownership relationship. Um, it's like it's not as convenient as me owning somebody 24/7. Like Stacy, I own 24/7. She's single, lives alone. Her whole life belongs to me. Her whole calendar is controlled by me. She has to ask my permission for every single thing that she does. But for example, her mom's visiting for a week this week and staying in her house, so I don't get to have Stacy this week.
oh, okay.
It's just you just work it however you can.
Well, thank you, Mitchell. That helps.
I'm glad that see you're welcome, Robert. And do you see Pussy? This is a question that everybody has. I mean, like a lot of
Yes.
people have. So it's an important one. Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you for answering,
You're
Mistress.
welcome. And Julia, go ahead. You have something else?
Yes, Mistress, and I wanted to say too, it's an evolution
Mm,
of, you know, like our Mistress Damiana's and my ownership relationship. Um, started off on a certain level and has evolved into how it can fit into my life and mine and my wife's life. And so I am owned all the time in my heart by Mistress Damiana. That doesn't go away, but I have two parts of my life. And I don't want to say they're segmented because especially as the years go on, this is so much more a part of my life, where it's always there. But, I have to balance. I have to balance a lot of things. And I give as much of myself to Mistress Damiana as I am able. And fortunately, I have a great wife. Like, she's very supportive of me living this life, um, because she knows that I also am there for her. But again, this didn't happen overnight. It took a long time to
Mm-hmm.
kind of figure this out because it's not easy. It's not an easy way to live.
Yes.
Thank you, Julia. That
Yes.
helped.
Thank you, yeah. Yeah. And thanks for the question, Pussy.
Thank you. You're welcome, Mistress.
Okay, I'm going to go on to the next question, which is from Desert Robert, actually. So you can stay on camera, Robert. Recently, my mistress released me from our dynamic. Oh, I'm sorry about that. It was my first lifestyle dynamic. Before her, I only played with pro doms. I'm wondering how to work through the sadness of being released from a DS dynamic. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm so sorry, Robert.
Yeah.
Really hard. It must be, I mean, was it discussed between you both, or did she just make a decision?
It was the job. I mean, she tried to work it through for 2 months, even though we had the dynamic for 6 months. She didn't feel like we were working what she's looking for. I
Mm-hmm.
guess I would, I don't know, it doesn't work for her, but she still wants to be friends. It just released me from the dynamic. We'll still
Mm-hmm.
talk to each other, and I think it might be her way of trying to struggle with her patriarchy thought, because I was so different, and she expects all the submissions she's had to cross the boundary, and I never did. And I think that's throwing her in a loop.
Mistress, may I respond?
Not yet.
Okay,
Uh, but who is that?
it was Nipples, Mistress.
Okay, yeah, let me answer this first. And I do want to hear from you, Nipples. So first, Robert, I want to tell you how very sorry I am that you're going through this, and I know that it hurts. Pretty much, it's the same emotion as being broken up with, same, and so your work right now is to really give yourself a lot of love because you're grieving. Um, you're probably going to go through, maybe, you're probably going through the stages of grief, perhaps at the moment, and if you look them up, some of them might match, some of them might not. But if you look up the stages of grief, I think there's something like 5 stages where you go through, like a denial, anger, acceptance, depression, things like that. I mean, depression comes before acceptance, but those are the stages. If you just Google it, and I find that it might be comforting to you to look at that and go and just think what you're going through is it's very difficult. So it's a time for you to be gentle with yourself, to do a lot of self-healing. Let yourself feel the sadness. Like when you feel sadness bubbling up, don't push it down. Don't distract yourself from it. Really let yourself feel it and let it come through and let it come bubble up and let yourself feel it. However that feels to you, like it could It could be tears, it could be not tears, it could be resentment, it could be anger, whatever it is, just let those emotions come up because that's how you release. That's how you release those emotions, and that's how you get over something quicker. Is to let yourself feel those emotions and let them be expressed, however they're expressed. You could journal, you could do whatever type of healing methods that you align with to help yourself right now.
But
So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I know about those 5 days. Yeah, so, yeah, I guess
uh,
just have to let it go through the process. Thank you the first time, that's probably a little more difficult than because I never had a relationship for over 30 years after being married with my wife. 6 months.
Right.
We didn't
Right.
have a date or anything.
Never been
Except for
broken up
her.
with. Yeah, so you've never been broken up with before, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's
Exactly.
difficult because you cannot process your feelings with your wife and you can't process your feelings with your ex-mistress now.
right.
So it's like, if it's helpful to you, you can book a session with me. I do counseling, about these things. And so you and I can have, one-on-one counseling session if that's something you'd like to do, or you can book a therapy session with another therapist who is kink aware.
Yeah, I have a therapist who
Oh,
teaches me.
great. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. I hope she's been really helpful for you.
Yeah, yeah, she has. Yeah, I just got lucky and found a therapist who knows about kink. She had to do it anymore, but she knows
Oh,
kink
that's, yeah,
and all that stuff. So,
that
That
is
helped
very
a
lucky.
little.
That's very lucky. Yeah. Great. Nipples, you have something you'd like to put in input? Love to have
yes,
your
Mistress,
input.
I would first of all just I can empathize with you,
Put your camera
Robert.
on if you like.
Yes, Mistress. I can empathize with you, Robert. I've been through two of these breakups with. First was a mistress of 5 years who I was a contract slave to and loved her very much. And then the second one was my ex, who was also my dom, albeit in a DS, more of a DS relationship. And they are tough and they take a while to get over. And my suggestion is, and I agree with the stages of grief, but also, sometimes when we're in those rut moments, we need to kind of extricate ourselves out of it and find other things and other challenges to do to help us move that grief on. And I have found that that does help. And I'd have to say the second one was probably not as hard, even though it was my ex, than the first one. The first one tore me up for about a year, 2 years time. I was really depressed. So,
Mhm.
you got to fight that depression because that can overtake you for a while if you don't
Mhm.
watch it. That would be my concern. So
Yeah. All
extra
right.
interest.
Thank you, Nipples, for bringing that up. And I agree with Nipples about that. You do need to find other things to do. So when I say let yourself feel the feelings, like the sadness and the depression and things like that, let them bubble up and let yourself feel them. And these things are momentary. I'm not saying like feel them and sit at home and just wallow in it for days on end. I didn't mean that. I meant let the momentary emotions bubble up, let them release. It could take a few minutes, and then after that, like after you feel it and it's gone, until next time, find that support, find those activities, and find those things to do for yourself that are self-loving. So Julia has something to bring here. Go ahead, Julia.
Thank you, Mistress. And when my first dynamic ended and I was devastated, it forced me to get out into the community. I went to classes, I went to events, and that was really when I blossomed in the community and became part of it. Um, I was forced to because the Dom I was with, she had this big BDSM family that I was part of, and they were my social, my BDSM social aspect, and it forced me to find another. And so it ended up being a blessing, although a painful one at the time, but it really established me in the LA community because I got out there. So I would suggest definitely looking and getting, going to classes, going to events, going to munches, and meeting people.
Yeah.
Perfect time.
Thanks, Julia. That reminds me that I have an event coming up at the end of this week, actually, on Saturday in Joshua Tree. I don't know if you've seen the posts about it or my emails about it, Robert.
Yeah, I've seen them, yeah.
Yeah, so it's I mean, if you're out in the desert, it's just I haven't publicly posted it yet, but we are releasing half-day tickets now instead of the full day. So if anybody cannot like commit to a full day of it, which full day is from 1 to 9 p.m., the half day is either from 1 to 5 p.m. or from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. half day. So
Yeah, well, my wife and I are going to a burlesque festival that weekend.
oh, awesome.
Yeah, so
That
we'll
sounds
be
like
watching
fun.
burlesque show. It'll be fun.
That does sound like fun. Great. Glad you're doing that. Well,
Yeah,
thanks, Robert. And we're here for you, okay? Like we're your community too.
yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate all the feedback. Yeah, be involved in the community and, let it come up and do something for myself, So thank you, Mistress, and everyone else for the feedback.
You're welcome, Robert. Okay, here's the question from Adam. And Mistress, is the private Telegram group no longer active? No, it's there. It is there, and it is active. And we were just on it, I think. So what you do need to be is you have to be there's three different levels. There's three different tiers of the Patreon group. There's the $15 level. I think it's called special, and then special Patreon and special patron, and then the $25 is exclusive patron, and then there's a $50 VIP patron. So you have to be in the $25 or the $50 group in order to get on Telegram, into our Telegram group. If you are on the $15 level, the special level, then you can come to our monthly Q&As like this. So that is what you get when you are at the $15 level. Also, the exclusive and VIP levels, they get to go to the live domination part of our Zoom call. So at the end of the Q&A here, I'm going to do a live domination with a member of our Patreon community who is Pussy today. And you have to be in the $25 or $50 levels to go there. So if you want to do that, if you want to be in the Telegram group, or if you want to come to the live domination, then you'll need to upgrade to those levels. And the difference between the $25 level and the $50 level is the $50 level is the VIP, and those people are able to message me privately on Telegram group. Like we're able to just message back and forth, kind of like you can text me anytime, that kind of thing. So that's the difference there. The group, the $25 people are in the group, and they can message me in the group only. Okay, I hope that clarifies things, and I hope that I hope we'll see you there in the Telegram group, Adam.
Mistress, Adam says he is on the $50
Oh, really?
level.
Okay. Well, if somebody can, Julia, you can text, you can like private message him here on Zoom, the Telegram group. Okay.
Actually, I don't have it. Amazingly, I do not have it. So, but either me or Stacy will
We'll get it
contact
to you,
Adam,
Adam.
and we'll
Yeah.
get it.
Okay, we'll get it to you, and I'll make sure you get it too, Julia. You should be on it. Okay, thanks for the question, Adam, and sorry that there's been problems, but I think that you might not have the right link or something somehow. We've had it on the same link for a long time though. But anyway, yeah, I look forward to seeing you there. Okay, Karen has a question. How can a sub make a session more enjoyable for his mistress desires? What are the cues she shoes. What are the cues she shoes, whether it be
I think that would be shows.
what are the cues she shows, whether it's corporal humiliation or bondage or other? Okay, so Stacy and Julia, make sure you read these questions and correct anything that needs to be corrected. Any
I
kind of extraneous things, go
I
ahead.
couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out what it was supposed to say because shoes is sometimes relevant,
Got
so I
it.
couldn't figure it out.
Oh,
Agreed.
okay.
Agreed, Julia.
Um, yeah, I mean, it could be shoes too, right? So yeah, how to make a session more enjoyable? It's, for me, and I think for many mistresses, it's not necessarily like if you're able to, sometimes I'll have subs say to me, like, I'm sorry, mistress, that I can't take as much corporal as slave so and so. And I'm sorry because you can't enjoy me as much. And my answer to that is, it's never like that. It's never like that for me. It doesn't matter if a particular slave can't take as much corporal or bondage or whatever it is, or humiliation, because I have other slaves for that. And it has to fit who you are. Like, the important thing is you have to be authentic to who you are as a sub. And if humiliation isn't part of your kink, it doesn't make sense for me to do it to you because it's not going to do anything to you. And if it's not going to do anything to you positively erotic, I'm not going to feel any good feelings from you because I won't get any submissive energy from you. See? So, like, I really love how different all of my subs are and what they bring, all the different varieties of sadistic and wicked things that I can do to every sub is it's just perfect. It's just perfect. And I think that maybe this is a question that a lot of submissives have. Just to be open about it, Julia had the same question like a month ago or so, brought it to me and says, I wish I could be as hardcore as so and so sub. And I explained to her the same thing. It's not like that. I enjoy you, Karen. I enjoy you for the submissive that you are, and what you particularly bring to me is special and unique. And I find pleasure in doing whatever it is that I do to you. And it could be, like when you and I met for session last week, it was a completely different type of session than what I think either of us had imagined. I mean, I wanted to bring in this new element. I thought I would dabble in it and then go on to the other things. But what happened is that I wanted to dabble and keep dabbling and keep going deeper into that particular kink. And so that's the way that session flowed, organically and wonderfully. And look how wonderful it turned out, So don't even worry about it. Like, my answer to you is you don't have to worry about how you can make a session more enjoyable for mistress. When you are submissive and you just give yourself to me and any mistress and just surrender yourself completely and vulnerably and authentically, then you're going to do good.
Excuse, may I speak, mistress?
Yes, you may. And you can
Yeah.
bring your camera on so I can look at you. Hey, Karen. Oh, you're muted now. You put on your video, but then you muted yourself.
There we go, I think.
There we go. I hear you.
There we go. Thank you. That was sort of what I was getting at in the question, which is trying to be open and then going with where a mistress would take me. And in this case, you read some things into our conversation that took me to great places, and that was the experience that made it enjoyable for me. It wasn't me coming in and say, here's my 5 fetishes I'd like to do. Uh, it was hopefully opening myself up enough where you could read into what you could have fun with and knew that I would be smitten with, so to speak. And that's kind of the point of my question was how to make it a mutually wonderful time.
Mm. Well, you did wonderfully, Karen, because I enjoyed you so much. I mean, it's like how you brought it, how you did it was you told me what your interests were and what you were open to and things like that. And then there was one thing on the list that and I read into it. It wasn't even a thing on your list. It was like, hey, well, I would like to do this. And then I ran with it. And then, and look at the wonderful thing that happened. So I mean, what you did to open yourself like that to me is really the best. Like that's the best kind of submissive. It's not every submissive, and that's okay because other subs have particular things that are like, I really, really like over the knee spanking and I can't not have that. And that's okay too.
Well, all of your archetypes rose to the occasion. Let me say that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Julia has some input here. Go ahead, Julia.
Thank you, Mistress. And I would say you kind of answered it right there as well, Karen. Openness, honesty, vulnerability, and I guess ultimately surrender. But if you're open and honest and vulnerable, that is that's the best thing that you can do, in my experience. And also to what Mistress Damiana was touching on before about not being able to take as much, and that such a common insecurity for submissives. I think we all go through it. I just did recently, and I have at different parts throughout my time doing this. So common. Not saying that you have it. It sounded like your question was actually touching a little bit differently, but wanted to let everybody know it's so common.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, it's so funny because, I have my stable of slaves that I own, my personal slaves. And I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, Julia, you know how you said, Mistress, what you said was, I feel a little insecure that you don't enjoy me as much as Stacy because you can do these things to her, And then guess what? Stacy said to me, like, I'm feeling insecure because, like you hadn't played with me recently, but you played with Julia the last couple of times, and I'm feeling insecure that you don't enjoy playing with me as much as Julia, and like for me, I'm like I don't feel that way at all. I don't like enjoy one sub over another. I love the variety. That's why I love being a mistress with lots of subs and slaves and clients and different people, and I love them all. And so yeah, it's I think every submissive goes through that.
And I think that insecurity is so common too. And sometimes we just
Yeah.
need to hear that because we're we're giving ourselves so much to you that you have so much power over our emotions and how we're feeling that little things can go, oh well, maybe, oh, so yeah, every once in a while we need to go, is this or is this all up in my head?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's the nature of the relationship. We have all the power, and you're so vulnerable in all the ways, emotionally too. So, I like I said to Julia, and I'll say this to any submissive, I will reassure you. whenever you need that. I'll reassure you. It doesn't take anything out of me to reassure you that I enjoy you. I enjoy all of you. And you're not doing anything less than what I want you to do. So yeah, thanks for this,
Thank you very much.
Karen and Julia, for your input on this. Julian, you have something you'd like to say? Go ahead.
Yes, Mistress. Still, I hear what you said about you enjoying playing with different subs, but it if I were to play with you, I would still want to know what are some things that you like. Kind of how you ask me, it's helpful to know what you would like because there's pleasure in also giving that to the mistress. So how can someone go around to figure that out?
Yeah. Well, I like it all. Like I'm a mistress that likes it all. I love the corporal. I love the humiliation, the bondage, and the and all the things. Like all the things. I can't. I would be sad if I wasn't able to do corporal somehow or something. I would be really sad if I wasn't able to humiliate anyone. Things like that. But because it's so tied to who you are as a submissive, like your particular kink psychology as a person, Julian, it has to align with who you are. Like, well, I can't humiliate you if that isn't who you are. But if you have a humiliation kink, I'm going to run with it. You know what I mean? Like, so I have to like pick and find out who you are and what makes you controllable or weak or feel more submissive to me. And I'll find out those things and then use them to my advantage. So it's not like what I like. I can't take the activity out alone and think about it alone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be tied to the person because it's so I dominate people. I don't. It's not like if I didn't have people, I would have no enjoyment in like doing corporal on a wall. So it's not the thing. It's not the activity. It's the It's the person. It's the submissive I'm playing with. Does that make sense?
Yes. Does that mean when discussing or negotiating, you would tell the submissive what are things that you like as well, or do you think that kind of
Well,
takes away from the experience because they got
it's always like
in
this.
the head?
It's always like this. Like my list of interests, like if you ever look at my website and my list of interests is like this, right? It's really long. And so whenever a submissive says they're into something and something and something, it's always on my list.
Oh, okay. So if someone's list it also matches your list, they can just show up and say, "My list matches yours. Do whatever you would like." Then
I,
does that give you freedom to explore and figure out
Well,
how you
if
see
I
the
say
energy?
if I have a submissive that comes and says, just do whatever you'd like, I'd go, well, all the things I like, it would take me a year to do all the things I like on you. So you, as a submissive, you have to help me out here and tell me what it is that you fantasize about right now. What did you last masturbate about? What was in your head? Like, you have to help me, you know? I'll tell you right now, mistresses don't like it when submissives go, when they go, what are you into? And the sub goes, whatever you are into, mistress. Like, that's the worst answer. That's the worst answer for a submissive. I taught you in Be Your Best Submissive Self class on how to describe who you are as a submissive, right? I gave you the submissive sub matrix. I gave you kind of like like the ways you connect with the different archetypes and things like that. So when you do those things for mistresses, that is helpful.
Mm.
That's way more helpful to say, this is who I am as a submissive. This is how I describe myself. This is how this is what makes me tick, and things like that. And most of it, most of the helpful stuff is psychological.
Mm.
Mistress,
Yeah, and we're going like way already like beyond the time now. Pussy, go ahead, because Pussy, we have to do a live domination. So go ahead,
Okay.
real quick, Pussy.
Well, just quickly, I wanted to say, I think the last live domination you did at the end, I could tell you were really in super dom space. I mean, you were like in a different dimension.
Yeah,
And
that was the flogging I did with DW. Yeah.
I know. And I guess I wish my desire is to make you feel good. And so
Well,
if I could make you,
you make me feel good with the stuff I do to you.
okay, I would accept that.
The important thing is I don't want it to be inauthentic. So, like when I train a slave, and it's somebody that I train like on a weekly basis or very, very regularly, then like for example, like there's this one, a few slaves that I've trained that way that have served me on a weekly basis. We get to do all the stuff because somebody that I've had for years, I just started cross-dressing, because now I'm going to push him to that area where he was too afraid to go before. But now I'm able to do it because of how deep we've gone into the journey together, So it has to be at the right time. It can't just be like thrown in there one day. I mean, I don't know, it can, but we got to move on to the next question. We can talk on and on about this, but let's move on, okay? Thank you for this question, Karen. And these are great discussions. I like having the back and forth with the submissives. It's good because what you're saying to me is what's on many submissives' minds while they're watching this call.
Thanks for your answer.
Oh, okay. So another one from Karen. You can stay on, Karen. In your mind, what, if any, is the correlation between female supremacy, beta, and mistress-slave relationships? It's a very broad question. So,
I mean,
go ahead.
I could clarify.
Mhm.
I mean it in the context female supremacy, as you read or read it and discover it online, is um, maybe more focused on suppressing the male ego and humiliating the male and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
differentiating the male in
hmm
other ways than servicing a mistress or servicing a female.
hmm Um, I don't believe in female supremacy as like the overarching, like all females. I don't believe in the all females are supreme over males. Like I think that sometimes it's represented that way, but I don't feel that way.
That's certainly how it comes off, yes.
That's how it comes off. Yeah. No, I believe that there is that there should be a femdom world, and that's why I built a femdom world around me, and I live a very femdom lifestyle. And that's why I have slaves around me that drop to their knees when I enter the room and things like that. Like that's what makes me happy, and um, that's how things should be in my world that I created. But I don't feel that I need that from somebody who isn't drawn to femdom. For example, I have bottoms that I'm very close with, like Bill on the line here. He and I have a different dynamic. He's not going to drop to his knees because that's not what we're like together. We have a different relationship. So, correlation, I don't know if I answered your question.
That was wonderful, Mistress. That was very helpful in understanding, and because there is an implied universality to female supremacy.
Right. Implied universality. It's very true. You get that vibe when you read about it. And I'm not in agreement with it, I guess. I don't think that, how like when there's DOMs that tweet things like, all of you all like you're all worms or whatever. It's just too broad. It's not, and then people will read that and go, I don't agree with that. I don't align with that. I'm a submissive, but I don't. Also, there's an important thing. And I've written about this. DOMs only have as much power as submissives are willing to give them. The Dom that says, you're all of you out there in the public, you're all slaves and you're all peons to me. And Karen, you're reading this going, I don't feel that way about you. It's because you haven't given your power to that Dom. So she doesn't have power over you, you know?
That's great. That's really helpful. You clarified a lot, and it's where my instinct was also in that regard.
Because the power from a submissive given to the Dom is a gift. It's a choice. It's a choice. It's like, and there has to be a connection. Even if it's submissives out in the world that feel a connection to me that I don't even know. They have to feel that connection with me and that willingness to give me their power. Then I have power over them. But if they don't align with me and they're like, I don't feel connected to Mistress Damiana, I don't have power over that person. So I think that is the element that's missing from this female supremacy thing is it's kind of this law of the Dom only has as much power as the submissives are willing to give them.
Well, that makes sense as I'm thinking about it too, because it's about the consent side of the slave relationship to accept that power over them.
Right.
I think about it the other way in female supremacy. It's about utilizing condescension as a bludgeon
And that
to
is not domination to
earn
me.
that power.
Right. That's not domination to me. That's something else. That's you know, tyrannical. You know.
Yes.
Condescension is what I meant to say. I think I said
Condescension. Right. Like it's not okay because the slaves did not give their consent to be condescended towards, and it's not ethical either. So there's the consent and the ethics is missing from that whole universal female supremacy idea.
Thank you. This was great. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Karen. And thank you for this question. It was a good one and got me thinking. This podcast is fully supported by my Patreon members. Your patronage is so appreciated. As a member of my Patreon community, you'll be able to ask your own questions on monthly Zoom calls just like the one you heard, and also be invited to watch me dominate a Patreon member live in person. You can become a member by going to patreon.com/damianachiphd. I'd like to send special thanks and shout-outs to my Patreon members. Your support means so much to me, and it feels so good to know that what I'm doing is appreciated by you. It is an honor to contribute to my beloved kink community. Many thanks to Karen, Goddess Ange, Daniel R., P., Mark, Nipples, Mistress Nicole, Pussy, Andre, Richard L. Tackett, Joe C., Aline N., Mistress Cat Noir, Mikkel G., Miss Michelle Robbins, Adam, Christina T., Desiree, Sumitru S.D., Silva R., Sabrina E., Joseph N., Venus the Goddess, Joanna, Marissa, G. Hilscher, Alejandra C.S., Goddess Rose, Robert W., Richard, E. L., Nick, McKenna G., Nevaeh, Barry B., Ben, Julian S., Mystic Dax, Vincent V., Divine Diva, Tom, DJW, Bill Bumpus, John, Tracy C., Flora, Jackie J., Miss Hella, Carmen L., Irene C., Rox, Christopher S., Rocky, Lee F., Soul Tramp, Ms. Coco 1111, Gayla, Lady Sublime, U.E. Crump, Jake, Betty, and Sweet Girl Julia. And special thanks to the editor, Sweet Girl Julia. Thank you for listening to Lightworkers Who Play in the Dark. I love providing valuable BDSM content to my community, so if you would like to support this podcast, please become my patron by going to patreon.com/damianachiphd. My patrons receive different benefits, like asking questions for Q&A episodes, free access to Conscious Kink community, and personal video chats with me on a weekly basis. The Patreon link and other links to my different websites, where you can apply for BDSM sessions, kink-centered life coaching, the Evolutionary Dominatrix Academy, and Conscious Kink community, can all be found on damianachiphd.com. You can also connect with me on social media at damianachiphd. If you love this show, please share and subscribe. And until next time, sending love and kinky blessings to you all.